قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Ask Zad, coming to you hopefully live every Sunday at 4 o'clock here in Mecca region. Before we go to your questions, we have one question that came just right now from the email, and it's Salam from the UK says, can someone ask if I accidentally put the cross symbol instead of the plus sign on my copybook, which a non-Muslim can see, and I don't erase it as soon as possible? Am I a kafir? First of all, we have to identify that not every cross symbol symbolizes a cross that the Christians worship. So if this was not the case, we would have not used the plus sign in calculating things. We would not have used the first aid kit because it contains a cross symbol and so many other things. And therefore, a normal plus or a cross that does not signify anything does not refer to the Christian cross, even if it does resemble the Christian cross, where the vertical line is longer than the horizontal line. If you had this done by mistake on a book or anywhere else, unintentionally, without the intention of worshiping it or glorifying it, there is no kufr in that. And I always tell the people, if you go to your next door neighbor and he's a Christian, and you give him a piece of paper that has Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, and you ask him politely to read it, and he does, and he hands that paper back to you, has he become a Muslim? The answer is of course not. Why? He just read the Shahada. Because he did not have the conviction. If he did not have the conviction, then he's not a Muslim. Likewise, when you wrote or drew that symbol, did you have the conviction of glorifying it, praising it, worshiping it as a symbol of Christianity? The answer is no. In this case, there is no kufr in that, and Allah knows best. Our first caller for today is Muhammad from the US.
Peace be upon you, Sheikh. It's good to have you back. How have you been?
In Islam, we say Assalamu alaikum.
Right. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How you doing, Muhammad? What's up?
I'm doing good. Nothing much is up. What I wanted to ask you was, I'm an orphan and my father died when I was very young. I haven't visited his grave in years, but I'm thinking of visiting soon, God willing, or inshallah. What I wanted to ask you was, would it be sinful for me to enter the graveyard wearing shoes, or is it just like a recommended sunnah? Thank you, Jazakallah khairan.
Wa jazakum. First of all, Muhammad, you started your question by saying I'm an orphan, and this is incorrect, because through the analyzing your sound, you've definitely hit puberty and probably exceeded that by light years. Therefore, the definition of an orphan is a child whose father is dead and the child has not reached the age of puberty. Once a person reaches the age of puberty, he's not labeled as an orphan anymore. Secondly, it is not permissible to wear shoes while stepping on a grave, while walking through the graveyard and on the corridors that is paved and there are no graves underneath, there's no problem in you wearing your shoes all the way. So the prohibition is to wear shoes, and with these shoes you step on actual graves, and Allah knows best. Khamis from the Emirates. Khamis. Sadiqa from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm having some whisper now and then. I fight back, but eventually I get them again. The reason is me and my husband were sitting together and watching a video. A sheikh was talking about a man who divorced his wife for 100 times. My husband is mocking and saying that how a man can divorce his wife for so many times. I think he might say like this, divorce, divorce, divorce. And I stopped him and I said him that, what are you doing? You should not say like this. And he said me that I've already mentioned, I'm not divorcing you. I'm talking about that man. And the other day we have a fight and I'm threatening him that if you are not gonna provide for me, I will file for divorce. And he said, do whatever you like. Yeah, is this two incident count as a divorce? Because I'm getting this whisper that this might count as a divorce, and it happens so many times. I might be living in Jannah.
First of all, when you ask your husband or you state to your husband, if you don't provide for me, I'm going to file for divorce, this means that you have the intention and the willingness to break the marriage. This is not normal. It's not normal for a wife to go and address her husband in such a fashion. Nevertheless, the word divorce has to be accompanied by intention, in the sense that if I, for example, was giving a lecture in the masjid, and among the audience is my wife, and I'm discussing the chapter that deals with marriages, divorces, custody, and the likes. And I come to the chapter that deals with divorce, and I'm teaching the students and say that, so if a man says to his wife, if I say to my wife, I divorce you, this is a clear statement of divorce. So if I say I divorce you or you are divorced, then the divorce takes place. My wife cannot jump and say, Alhamdulillah, he divorced me 3 times. He says, I divorce you, you're divorced. So now I'm finally I'm divorced. This was like a life sentence. Woo, let's go. I said, wait, hold your horses. What are you doing? She said, you divorced me. And I asked the students, did I divorce her? Every single one would say, of course not, Sheikh. You were teaching us the phrases of divorce and we were dealing with fiqh issues. So this is not a divorce. And what your husband said, this is not a divorce. He was just merely repeating what the Sheikh had said on the video. And also when he asked you to ask or to file for divorce, this is not initiating divorce. This is what you said. And he said, if you want to get a divorce, get a divorce. But he did not say, I divorce you. Likewise, intentions. If a husband says to his wife, I will divorce you. Next week, I will divorce you. This is not a divorce. It's something in the future. Divorce has to be in the present tense or in the past tense, and Allah knows best. Duda from Tanzania. Duda.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
So I checked my purity on the 7th day, even though usually I get pure on the 10th day. But I was lazy to check it on the 8th day, the Fajr of the 8th day, because I didn't think I was going to be pure. Am I sinful since there is a possibility that I was going to be pure, even though I wasn't pure on the 8th day? But I was lazy to check it because I didn't think I was going to be pure.
So if you were not pure on the 8th day, what's the problem?
The problem is I was lazy to check for Fajr because maybe I was playing with my prayer. If I was pure,
But you weren't.
so it's okay I'm not sinful.
No, you're not sinful. You are sinful if the blood stops and you know that you have no menses anymore, no colored discharge, and still you did not go to check whether you're pure or not to pray. But if the menses is on, but you are hesitant, should I go and check or not? And the norm is that on the 10th day you are pure, you have no signs, no indications or evidences to hint that you have become pure. There's no sin at all in this. Nazreen from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I've asked about the issue on your website without enough details, so I am asking it here again. I have cleaned blood of menses from my mattress incorrectly. I just rubbed only and removed the blood with wet cloth, wet tissue and soap. When the impure mattress was still moist and damp, I kept my pillows for 1 minute or less and also checked with my hand a couple of times that it had dried or not, thinking the area to be correctly purified. Now I have forgotten and I'm not sure that my hand and pillows then got the wetness of impurity on them or not. But when I touched the mattress, I felt the coolness of the wet mattress on my hand. Now sometimes I'm inclined to the thought that my pillows did not get the wetness, but my hand got the wetness. And sometimes I'm inclined to the thought that maybe both got the wetness. And also sometimes I have the thought that none of them got wetness. I have touched many things afterwards, so what can be the solution here?
How would I know? Come on, give me a break. When you make a Bollywood movie out of so trivial things, this is not logical. You make a mistake and you cascade this mistake intentionally by doing. Who would put pillows on an area that he's not certain whether it's pure or not, and then he touches the area with his hands and then it's soiled or not, then he touches the pillow. You're making a movie out of this. And this is not Islam. Whenever you try to complicate things, whenever you try to make life hard upon yourself, believe me, Allah will make it harder. You're challenging Allah Azza wa Jal when you do these things. Of course, now here is a reverse mechanism or the defense. So, oh no, I'm just afraid of impurity transferring elsewhere. If you were truly afraid, you would not have done all of this. You would have taken the appropriate measurement to avoid such impurities from transferring. But you are recklessly behaving and making a long plot and a scenario and then coming and asking questions. Sometimes people come and ask me about soiling the whole house from a small drop of urine that came into their hand. They neglected it. They touched the tab and the faucets and the doorknob and the light switch, and they touched their feet and they walked with their feet on the carpet to the living room, to the bedroom, and then they climbed over their bed and they touched the pillow. From a single drop of urine, they've managed to contaminate the whole house. This is not urine, this is acid. Even if it's acid, it wouldn't last that long. It would have burnt few places and that's it. But look what shaitan is doing to you. And at the end of the day, she say, "Oh, Sheikh, I have so much whispers. What can I do? The whole house is soiled. Sheikh, can I burn it?" This is the end. You want to burn the whole house to purify it? What is this? So again, we have rules and regulations in Islam that covers things. Certainty is not affected by doubt. If you've noticed in your question, you've used the word I feel, I maybe, perhaps, I think. All of these are phrases used in doubt. Just put them in the dustbin and move on with your life. Halima from France.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salatullah.
Yes, sir. I would like to know if I can go to Body Minute to do my body exfoliate and body massage by another female.
You want to go to a massage parlor to get a massage. Is it for medical reasons or for recreational reasons?
Honestly, it's for my skin because I think I don't know how to exfoliate my skin, and done by another person, I'm thinking maybe it's gonna help me. So I want to do a body exfoliate in a body exfoliate shop by another female, sir.
A body what?
Body exfoliate to clean my body.
Okay, so it's like detoxing or using some substances or some a material that would purify your skin. This is permissible, providing that the areas that you expose to this female practitioner are not your awra. So your arms, your legs below the knees, maybe some part of your neck and the back of your shoulders are permissible. But to expose your back, to expose your thighs, to expose your belly and the likes, these are all not permissible to be done unless there is a medical necessity for it. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Saima from the US. Saima from the US. Abu Sa'id from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I ordered a product online, and while paying the delivery man, another guy asked the delivery man about his order. Then I left the place before the delivery man counted the money because there were some coins along with notes in it. Now I am wondering day and night whether I have violated someone's right because I have not officially left the place, but I gave the full money, and I am thinking that I have used a few coins which the delivery man may have not liked.
What points? What points are you talking about? The product is 50,000 taka. You gave the man 50,000 taka. What's left?
I gave the full payment but used some coins. So I didn't left officially because he was talking with another guy. So
What points, Akhi? I don't understand. Are you playing a video game?
No, Sheikh. Actually, I paid with notes and coins. Actually, I use
cash, paper notes, and coins?
Yes, I combined both of these, and I think that the delivery man may have not liked to take the coins because everyone uses notes, and they generally don't like.
No problem. No, it's not his preference. As long as you paid him money, whether it's coins or in banknotes, the payment was paid in full. You have no worries whether he likes it or not, and the payment is good and the product is good, inshallah. Sumayya from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So my sister is taking contraceptive pills, and her menses started to be more than usual. So the first month she got like or more than 15 days. And the second month, she started to call the doctor, and the doctor gave her more pills to cure her overflowing of menses, but then it just went worse. And we don't know what exactly is a month for her to decide, like, this is 15 days in a month. And now she keeps getting discharges, and I've advised her that once the discharge starts to look like more like a period, then that's her period. And when it starts to go back to the original light discharge, then her period has ended. And she doesn't know exactly the day it is to come in a month, because it keeps on coming in 28 days. And that means 2 days earlier than the last period. But she knows that it's 6 days. It used to be 6 days, but that's how now she's praying. But we would like some advice.
As long as she does not know when the fixed date in the lunar month where her period usually starts, then she should go to the second level or type of distinguishing her period through the characteristics that are accompanied. So when she gets the cramps and the color and the smell of the discharge, the blood, is similar to her usual menses, then she should stop praying and fasting. The moment it stops, as you've stated, is 6 days usually. So if it's 6 or 7 days and it stops, she takes ghusl and she resumes to pray and fast and act normally. Doing this, that is, cleaning herself and performing wudu for each and every prayer once that time is due. And once the time is over and the new time of the prayer is due, she has to clean herself and perform wudu and pray until she sees the change of characteristics of such blood resembling her menses. Then she should stop, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Alim from Ireland.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamtullah.
I noticed in one of your videos, like, you were talking about begging, and like how asking is begging. So like, if I ask like my siblings to get me something, like something for my computer, or like a game or something like that, or ask something for my parents, is it categorized as begging, or is it just like me requesting something?
Begging is asking people for something that such people are not obliged to provide you for it. Your parents are your parents, so they are obliged to provide you for whatever you may need, especially if you're not working, if you're a student, if you're not earning. And asking them is permissible, it's not begging. Asking your siblings for such favors when you know that they are giving without any ill feelings, and when they ask you to do something for them, you would do that similarly. This is not begging. Begging is when you go to people you know and you say, well, I like that pen you have. Can I have it? Can I take this or that? Can you buy me something? Can you give me money? Can you pay for my gym subscription, etc.? This is begging. This is something that honorable people don't ask. And this is why the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, they say that we gave the Prophet ﷺ the pledge of allegiance when we accepted Islam. And among the pledge of allegiance is that we do not ask anyone for anything. And the narrator of the hadith goes on to say, and I used to see one of them, that is the companions, riding on his camel, dropping his whip, and he would dismount of his camel to take the whip instead of asking the people walking around him, excuse me, please, can you hand me the whip? He would not do that, because this is what he gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ, to honor themselves and not to ask people for such favors, in order not to be among those who beg others or depend on them. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminded us through his guidance and example that Islam is complete submission to the will of Allah. For one who submits, a mere declaration or display of belief will not be taken for success, but his or her heart and soul will certainly be put to test. Allah tested the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam severely in order that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam becomes an example for his companions to follow. Similarly, he tests the believer to see whether he lives a righteous life in accordance with the instructions and commands set by Allah, or lives according to what his desires dictate. Whether the faith he displays is firmly rooted in his heart, or is it merely on the surface. He will be tested to see whether he will continue to have faith and love of Allah when in a calamity, as he does when in comfort, whether he will continue to remember and worship him if given bounties and comforts of life, as he does when he lives a modest life. Allah will undoubtedly test him to see if his faith, trust and love of him is unconditional, or is it conditioned upon good health and a comfortable life, free from stress and anxiety. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us through his own example that for a righteous Muslim, this life is a testing ground where he will continue to be tested until he meets Allah. For him, tests will be conducted on earth while he lives, and not after he dies. He knows that as soon as death arrives and he steps into the next world, his tests are over. There, he only receives the result of his tests and enjoys the fruits of the deeds that he committed during a short span of time called life.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. Zahra from Indonesia.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May Allah grant you Jannatul Firdaus for your contribution to the Ummah.
And you as well.
So my mom's brother passed away some time ago, and his whole village are people that do acts of bid'ah. So yesterday, his family, I mean like his wife and children, they do an event because it's 40 days or 100 days after his death. I'm not sure how many days. And in the event, they invite an ustad and a lot of men and orphan, and they sit in the living room. The ustad will lead the dua and zikr loudly. And they invite my mom. My mom doesn't want to get involved in those things, but she was kind of conflicted because if she doesn't come, the relatives would think she becomes distant and arrogant and get included in wrong sect. So she travels 6 hours to get there yesterday without mahram, and because she's there, she helped the cooking for the people that do the dua. What is your opinion on this? And please give advice on what to do next time someone invite us again, because this situation comes often. Jazakallahu khair, Sheikh.
Wajazakum. First of all, may Allah Azza wa Jal grant all those who died from our relatives and loved ones forgiveness, mercy, and expand their graves and fill it with favors and blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal. Secondly, Islam is the most beautiful religion due to its authenticity and simplicity. So there is no complication in Islam. There is no hardship in Islam. But in order to preserve Islam, we must follow and comply with Allah's orders and instructions and with the Prophet's sunnah alayhi salatu wasalam. And this is the only way that this religion can remain till the end of time. And this is exactly what the enemies of Islam are trying their level best on different levels to diminish or demolish. So if they cannot demolish it entirely, they would try to diminish it as much as possible. Through what? Through such innovations. The Prophet ﷺ said, as Mother Aisha narrated, whoever innovates in our religion what's not part of it, this is rejected. Allah will not accept it. So you ask yourself, has any of the companions celebrated the 40th anniversary of a deceased? You will find that the Prophet never did it, ﷺ. The companions had never done it. The tabi'een had never done it. Tabi'it tabi'een, etc. Nobody from the Muslim Ummah has engaged in such rituals. Where did we get it from? We got it from the pharaohs. The pharaohs, those were 5,000 years ago. Yep. They were pagans. They were idol worshippers. And they thought that when their pharaohs died, they will be resurrected after 40 days. And that's why they used to put jewelry in their tombs and their pyramids and where they were buried, and sometimes even animals, livestock animals, because they thought that they're going to come back to life. Unfortunately, these ignorant Muslims are practicing the same practices. How did they get it? From shaitan. Satan came to them and said, it's a good thing. Doesn't it express your love to the deceased? Surely does. Let's do it. But the Prophet didn't do it. Well, the Prophet didn't do a lot of things. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. This is how they diminish or demolish Islam. And those who are doing this, they're causing hardship to themselves. Your mom traveling without a mahram. That's sin. That's a sin. Traveling for 6 hours to do what? To please Allah? No. To please those ignorant people in their innovation, in collaborating with them. And this is not the only thing, Zahra. In your country and in other Muslim countries, all over the Muslim world, the Muslims are engaged in major innovations. Sometimes in shirk, plain shirk. And that's why they warn you and they threaten you from following people like us, who call you to simply follow the Quran and the Sunnah. You love the Prophet ﷺ? I love the Prophet ﷺ. Let's follow his Sunnah. These people say, don't. Whoa, you don't want us to follow the Sunnah? Said, no. You should follow us only. Leave the Quran, you cannot understand it. Leave the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It's too difficult for you to understand. Who should we follow? Follow us with our big turbans and with our long prayer beads and with our innovations in Islam. This is where you take your Islam from. We, on the other hand, say, don't follow us. Follow the Quran and the Sunnah. Here's the Quran and the Sunnah. It's very simple. They don't want you to do this. And this is why they have divided the Muslims. And this is why those in control, those in authority, these muftis, these scholars of such areas dominate their flock. And they milk them for money and for power. And whatever Simon says, they have to comply. Liberate yourself. Free yourself by following Allah's commands and the Prophet ﷺ Sunnah through the understanding of the righteous 3 favorite generations. This is what we call people to. And it doesn't cost much. Actually, it doesn't cost anything. But it liberates you. It makes you worship Allah directly, not through these monks and priests who try to embezzle people, building tombs over graves, building shrines and asking people to worship other than Allah Azza wa Jal, like such people. May Allah guide the Ummah back to Islam. Muhyi from Djibouti.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So I'm a video editor, and I edit videos, YouTube videos for clients, and it's about financing and business topics. So most of the clients require music background to be added for the videos. So my question is, if the client himself add the music to the video after I've done it, I just edit the video without the music, so I don't deal with it. And then the client, either he does it himself, or so he hires someone else to add the music to the video. Will my payment for editing the video still be haram?
Muhyi, if the content of the video is halal, so if it is dealing with halal stuff, there is no riba, there is nothing endorsing haram or promoting haram, and all what you do is just edit it or put subtitles to it or thumbnails or the likes, and you give the product back to the owner without collaborating with him or showing him or telling him that this is where you should put the music, but I'm not going to put anything because it's haram. If you're not collaborating with him on anything that is haram, what he does with the end product that you've given him, which is halal, this is his business, and your income is halal, insha'Allah. Munib from the US. Munib.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, in one of your videos, I've heard you saying that the angels have free will, and I'm a bit confused that, we know that angels don't have a choice to disobey Allah as we humans do. So
I did not get this. The angels have free will. What's your dispute with it?
No, I don't have any dispute. I'm just trying to understand. We know that they can't disobey Allah, so they don't have choice in that matter. So how can we say that they have free will?
No. When they do not disobey Allah, not that because Allah forced them to do this. There's a big difference. The wall can't disobey Allah Azza wa Jal. Is it something to be praised over when you say, MashaAllah, the wall doesn't disobey my orders? There's no praising in it. So when Allah praises the angels and says that they لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون, they do not disobey Allah whenever He orders them, and they do what they are told to do, this is praising them. If they were compelled, there would not be any praise on that. They would be like animals who do exactly what Allah tells them to do. But they have free will. Yet, through their free will, they do not dispute or they do not disobey Allah. When Allah tells them to prostrate to Adam, they comply. Satan did not comply because he is not an angel. He's from the jinn, as clearly described in the Quran. When Allah tells them that I'm replacing or placing an individual that they will take turns one after the other on earth, they asked, "Oh Allah, how do you place someone who would shed blood and cause corruption on earth?" So they do have free will. They do ask and they do comply with whatever Allah tells them to do out of their own free will, and Allah knows best. Heidi from the Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam rahmatullah.
Sheikh, previously you talked about charity, the benefit of charity, which we all believe. I have one question. If someone wants to keep a charity, maybe keep it like some amount on the monthly basis or a weekly basis, do you think is it okay?
This is up to your preference. If a person reaches to his pocket and gives money to the poor, that's good for you. If he decides to do that on daily basis, like some of the Salaf used to do, the one who narrated the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said an individual would be under the shade of his charity on the Day of Judgment. So one of those narrators or those who reported this hadith used to give every single day part of whatever he has, even if it's an onion or a piece of cake or a piece of bread, depending on this hadith, that he would be on the shade of his charity. Someone says, no, I'd like to do it once a week. Someone says, no, I'm going to take a percentage of my monthly salary. I know one of my relatives, may Allah have mercy on his soul, who used to take 25% of his salary every month to give it in charity. It's fixed. And it's between him and Allah. Nobody knows about this except those who were close to him. So such a person does this for the sake of Allah. There is no obligation upon him. No one is forcing him. He's not doing it as a vow. This is what's not recommended or permissible to do as a vow. Oh Allah, it's a vow on me. If you do this for me, if you cure my ill patient, or if you make me pass the exam, I'll give you 10% of my weekly allowance. This is what's not recommended, and that which the Prophet ﷺ told us not to do. But to voluntary, without vowing, making a vow, without obliging yourself. In yourself, you just say, okay, every week, I have to do this thing. Like it was reported that Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on his soul, used to give money every Friday before he goes to the khutbah of Friday. And this is something of his own. He just loved to do this. And when was asked, he said, Allah stated in the Quran, إِذَا نَاجَيْتُمُ الرَّسُولِ فَقَدِّمُوا بَيْنَ يَدَيْ نَجْوَاكُمْ صَدَقَةً. Allah says, O you who believe, whenever you want to have a talk that is secretive between you and the Prophet ﷺ, you have to, in advance, give charity. This verse was revealed when all the companions used to overwhelm the Prophet ﷺ with questions. So this was a bit tiring for him. He was overwhelmed by it. So Allah Azza wa Jal revealed this ayah. And when this ayah was revealed, the companions refrained from asking the Prophet ﷺ questions because this meant money. Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I was the only one who actually executed and implemented this ayah when I took one of my rings and I gave it in charity and I spoke to the Prophet ﷺ in private. Then this ayah was abrogated. And now everybody could speak back to the Prophet ﷺ, but they've learned their lesson. So this is his understanding. He never said that it's part of the deen. He just saw a beautiful hint in this ayah that whenever you want to speak to the Prophet, give charity. Now I'm going to speak to Allah Azza wa Jalla in a Friday sermon, so I'd like to, in advance, give charity. Maybe Allah would reward me for that greater than anything else. This is his understanding. Would it be a bid'ah? This is on his own. It's a voluntary thing. It's like doing dhikr on a particular pattern without thinking that this is getting you closer to Allah or this is from the Sunnah, without spreading it to the people like we find booklets of dua. And none of it is in the Quran or in the Sunnah. But they say that we've tried it, it's good. No, this is not recommended or permissible because people would think that this is from the Sunnah and they will copy it and do it. This is different when you do something for your own or of your own, like you specifically designate a particular dua in your prayers in the first rak'ah and second rak'ah, third rak'ah, because you love it, you like it, and you enjoy it. And you never tell people that do this, it's good for you, it's part of this and part of that. On the contrary, you're doing it for the sake of Allah. So therefore, it is not a problem for you, Heidi, to designate a particular date in the month or in the week or every day with a portion of your charity without thinking that, oh, doing it at 5 o'clock p.m. has great value, like some people think. No, I'm just enjoy doing it, this, and it's for my own sake. I'm not telling anybody about it. There's no problem in that, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have for today's episode. We're 5 minutes earlier than usual because unfortunately there are no callers calling with questions. And I know that I was away for a couple of weeks, but inshallah I'll be with you the next couple of weeks, and then I'll be off to join Huda TV, inshallah Azza wa Jal, and ask Huda for another couple of weeks, and then we will resume business as usual with the grace of Allah Azza wa Jal. And until we meet next time, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.